FABRZIO Romano has come out and said that sources at Crystal Palace expect Arsenal to come in for Eberechi Eze, and the player has said it's his dream to play for Arsenal Football Club. We've also got big transfer updates regarding Kivor and his potential to leave, or is he going to stay? And also Jérémy Jacquet, 19 years of age, French defender, now on Arsenal's radar. It's been a few days since we've spoken about Arsenal after that defeat against Tottenham, and the fan base at this moment in time is very much all over. I'd say I've gone on the socials the last couple of days. You know, we've had some sad news in the Tottenham ranks. Son is leaving. You know, we're looking forward to today's game against Newcastle. The Arsenal fan base at the moment is so divided. It's like this. 1 minute, they're arguing. The next minute, they're not. The next minute, they're together. It's very much like it's so important they bring in a left winger and an attacking midfielder if they want to go and challenge for this league title. We've got a big transfer update from FABRZIO Romano, so let's get into it. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated. We are less than 35 subscribers away from hitting 70,000. So please go down, drop a like, let me know your thoughts, and we will jump straight into it. Now, I want to talk about the news coming out in the last few hours that Arsenal have made initial contact to show interest in French 19-year-old centre-back Jérémy Jacquet. I believe it's how you pronounce that. Arsenal like Jacquet, who recently signed a new deal at Rennes until June 2029. He's on the list of options in case of exits this month or eventually for 2026. Now, this guy, I think he's actually just turned 20. I think that is wrong. I think he's just turned 20. But he's a very inexperienced player. He's only made 18 appearances in Ligue 1. You know, he's joined from Clement Foot. I think he went out on loan. Come through the Rennes Academy, which has seen, you know, some fantastic players through the year, like Camavinga, etc. And this news kind of comes off the back of the Jakub Kivor news, which was at some point yesterday talking about, you know, could he leave Arsenal? You know, you think Mosquera's come in as well. They have actually got really strong depth at centre-back when you think of Timber can play there, Ben White can play there, Saliba, of course, Gabriel, of course, Kivor, Mosquera now. They've probably got the best depth of any team in the Premier League when it comes to centre-backs. And then Romano said, understand Jakub Kivior's future remains open with several clubs keen on signing the centre-back. Arteta would prefer to keep Kivor. Arsenal have already rejected a proposal from Portugal in July, up to the player with desire to play more as a possible factor. I'll be honest, I think when Kivor came in last year for an injured Gabriel, I think he did a really good job. I think most Arsenal fans weren't, you know, that pleased when Gabriel got injured. He come in, put a couple of man of the match performances in, looked a really good replacement. And I actually quite like Kivor. I don't think he's the best centre-back in the world by any stretch of the imagination. But in terms of squad depth, I think he's a very, very good option. He's an experienced player as well. Played in international tournaments. He's only 25 years of age, just turned 25. You know, but according to Romano, there are 5-6 football clubs that are interested. I think in this market, you could probably get a huge fee, 35, 40 million pounds, quite significantly. But I want to talk about FABRZIO Romano. He's come out on YouTube. Now, I can't play this video for copyright reasons, but he said sources at Crystal Palace expect Arsenal to arrive for Eberechi Eze. People are actually suggesting that they should, or could, I should say, make a move in the coming days. Now, for me personally, they're looking at Eberechi Eze as an attacking midfielder, not as a left winger. We saw against Spurs, they are really crying out for a predominant left winger. They don't really have anyone who at the time looked likely of beating Pedro Porro. Trossard come on for 5 minutes, got injured. Martinelli looks a handful of the player he looked a few years ago. Eberechi Eze as an attacking midfielder, one of the best creative midfielders in the league last season, stepped up in some of the biggest games in the FA Cup final, in the FA Cup semi-final. He was the main man for Crystal Palace. I look at Arsenal have a huge creativity problem. I know it's only pre-season. I know people are going to say, Henry, you're doing too much. Henry, you're going over the top. They only registered one shot on target against us. Now, we only registered one shot on target against Arsenal, but that one shot on target created the goal. Now, are they missing creativity? 100%. The most creative players in the Arsenal side at this moment in time are Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka. Odegaard, for me, needs to take it up to the next level, but they can also do with some more creativity. Odegaard got injured last year. You're relying on a teenager in Ethan Nwaneri. And don't get me wrong, some of the teenagers they've got in Max Down and Ethan Nwaneri are generational talents, but they need more creativity. And that guy, for me, is Eberechi Eze. You also look at the fact as well, you also have to look at they are going out there for an out-and-out left winger. The Eze signing for Arsenal does not affect them bringing in a left winger, and you've also got to look at Leandro Trossard's being linked to a move away. Zinchenko's being linked to a move away. Kivor, Reece Nelson, they are going to raise a significant amount of money from departures. The latest team to be interested in Leandro Trossard, according to transfers.com, is Brentford. Brentford are eyeing an ambitious move to sign Leandro Trossard. The Arsenal winger is thought to be open to leaving for the right project. Now, Brentford, they've just lost Brian Mbeumo. It looks like they're going to lose Wieser as well to Newcastle. I think this would be a very, very good signing for Brentford. He'd probably come in and get between 10 to 15 league goals. He'd be one of the main men at Brentford. For me, he would be a very, very, very smart signing. You also look at Reece Nelson, could be on the verge of joining Fulham. Gabriel Jesus has got some interest in Brazil, but unlikely. Victor Gyökeres is there now. You bring in Eze and you bring in a dominant left-sided winger, and I think Arsenal are ready to go again next season. Another player that's been interested had a lot of interest from a lot of clubs around is Rafa Leao. Now, I don't necessarily think this move will happen to Arsenal. I think you're talking 100 million euros, but I do think they need to sign either him or they need to sign Rodrigo. Now, Real Madrid, for me, Rodrigo is the one that's always got the most. It makes the most sense, doesn't it? He doesn't want to necessarily carry on playing out on the right-hand side. He's got this transfer meeting coming up with Xabi Alonso. Everyone is kind of anticipating that Rodrigo will be leaving. And for me, the best place in which, he can end up at in terms of guaranteed game time is either Arsenal or it's Liverpool. And there's a lot of people right now looking at Leao in terms of a better fit, maybe because of his, he's a 1v1 specialist at beating his fullback. He plays up against low blocks so often because they double up on him. But it is a huge, huge problem for Arsenal right now. They need to bring in someone who can really step up and take it to the next level. And you saw the other day, Rafa Leao looked on fire in pre-season. Couple of goals against Liverpool, decent performance against Arsenal. A couple of goals after that in the next game against Perth Glory. Looks really, really happy, enjoying his football. But Newcastle. AC Milan are going to want top money, and I don't personally feel that right now, Arsenal will be paying the 90, 100 million euro fee for him. I think you could offer maybe 70 million and see where it takes you, but I think either Leao or Rodrigo, one of those has to be an Arsenal player. Now, what's also very, very interesting is the start of the season for Arsenal is, the Premier League season is only, 11 days or 12 days away. They have got Villarreal on the 6th, and then they've got Bilbao on the 9th. And then before you know it, it will be Victor Gyökeres up against his old manager, Ruben Amorim, at Old Trafford. These next two games are going to be big iron openers from a creative perspective for Arsenal. They've only scored in pre-season so far 1 goal against AC Milan. They didn't score against Spurs, and fair enough, they scored 3 goals against Newcastle. But this is a team last year that was one of the best attacking sides. For whatever reason, right now, that isn't clicking. And they need to bring in more creativity. Let me know your thoughts. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon.